Yeah, so you do work as a senior data scientist with, and at least on LinkedIn, what it says is senior data scientist, open bracket, data engineering, close bracket.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that since April. And prior to that, you spent 6 months as a senior data scientist without the data engineering in brackets. So, um, for our listeners who don't know, what is data engineering and how did your role change there when you had the parentheses added on?
Definitely. So I think, there wasn't a really like an official title change. I just talked to my manager. I was like, hey, I've been doing nothing but data engineering for the past 6 months. Uh, let's just change the title because it just makes it easier for me when I'm creating content or trying to network with people.
Mhm.
It just makes it easier for me to like have that common language and talk about things because, me going to some in mail for data engineering, like, why is this data science talking to me? Even though most data people are nice, but this helps kind of like provide contextualization of like the work I'm doing as a data scientist.
Mhm.
And so, and can you repeat your question again? I lost track of it.
Yeah,
How is
it
my
was
role different
something.
from data science to this?
Yeah, now that you have the parentheses.
Yeah, now that yeah, work in startups titles are kind of like wishy washy in startups. You just show up where you provide value, and it just so happens that data engineering has been that. And so I guess like kind of a story of like how do I even start going towards data engineering?
Yeah, and
Um,
what is data engineering?
Yeah. So, what is data engineering? That is a great question. And I am still trying to learn that as well because I'm a data scientist coming into data engineering. And so I don't want to talk as if like I know all these answers for this new space. I'm still learning. But I would argue data engineering is the process of preparing data and organizing data within an organization, um, specifically to drive value, whether it's a product or internal metrics. And so data engineering kind of expands across the whole data lifecycle, which is kind of overwhelming how much they touch. But I mean, they're the ones really thinking critically of like how should data flow within our system reliably and with
Mhm.
scalability in mind. And so
Exactly.
I would love to plug Ternary Data, Joe Reyes, Matt Housley, because they have been really integral with their both their content and also just talking one on one on LinkedIn to really help me transition and answer a lot of my questions early in my journey. And so I would definitely refer to them if you want a real definition because they really thought about that. Um, but that's how I
Yeah,
currently
we
view it.
we might have to see if they want to be on the show.
Man, that would be awesome. You should definitely reach out to them. And I'm happy to make an introduction if you don't know them already.
Look
Just let
out,
me know.
listener, for a future episode with Joe Reyes and Matt Hasley. They've been on my radar for a while, so yeah, maybe we can make
Yeah,
that happen.
they just have the book coming out for O'Reilly, the data engineering book. So out of all people, they would know the definition pretty well. Um,
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like
but
it sounds like a perfect episode.
I think it is. I would love to listen to that. But for this episode, unfortunately, I'm not as amazing as them. But essentially, kind of how I got into that is if you ever worked in a startup, many times you just have to wear hats, many different hats, just to get things done. You're building the infrastructure as you go. Things aren't clear of like what's exactly needed, and so it's a lot of iterating really fast. And so in my role, and this is about a year and a half ago, what kicked off me being obsessed with data engineering, I was asked to help the VP of product understand what's happening with one of our product surfaces. Like, why is it performing the way it is? And it was supposed to be a really easy question to answer. It was scoped for 5 hours. It took me 20 hours to source the data, to identify what was the correct business logic, how it flowed through our system, and then prepare the data before I even did the analysis. And then I also realized all my colleagues were doing this for every single analysis, every single time. And I'm like, this is horrible because we're all doing different logic, we're all doing different kind of approaches, like, and it's just mind-numbingly hard. Even though data cleaning is a large part of data science, the cleaning wasn't the hard part. It was actually understanding where in the code base did this data derive from and how was it transformed in our product so that way our analysis matches what's seen in the product. And for me, I was like, I want to fix this. This shouldn't happen again. and that's how I kind of got into it. I started really going around the company asking like how to use data, what's working, what's not working, what do you wish you have. I asked, and we're a 50-person company at that time, so it's easy to ask the whole company and do these little roadshow interviews. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot, and from there, started really diving into our data warehouse, trying to think critically of like how can we improve data access throughout the entire organization? How can we create data models that are easier for data scientists to answer the questions they're asked? And more importantly, is how can I make it possible for people to self-service their data needs outside of data science? Um, and through that, I started creating all these projects. I started getting traction, and I want to go more further and further upstream of like, all right, how's this data sourced? How can I create my own ETL pipelines? How can I fix ETL pipelines? How can I add data sources that's missing? And I just haven't been able to stop since, and I love it so much. Uh, and
Cool.
and some people call me a data engineer with the company, but I'm not necessarily ready to take on that title because
Maybe
I
someday
still maybe someday, but I feel like I have so much to learn.
you
But
can you can have an intermediate step where you're data engineer, open bracket, senior data scientist, close bracket.
exactly. But the core kind of theme through all this is that I have an amazing manager who saw me want to go into data engineering, and she just kept on teeing up opportunities. Or when I asked, she's like, "Yeah, go for it," and making it very clear where the business impact would be at, so I can both learn but also still drive impact at the same time.